we could talk about reactions here because since the last time I spoke to you, something happened, and I was like, man, I would love to know his perspective on this. So, like, if you're a kid that grew up in Green Bay watching Brett Favre your whole childhood, and you're like, man, I want to be a quarterback one day, and then you become Aaron Rodgers or whatever it is, you become that next great quarterback, and you're on your way, and then all of a sudden, when that hero was asked about you, it's a line or it's a mention where it's like, wait a minute, that's how they feel about me? So I have to ask, going back a year ago to Eminem's Kamikaze album, there's a mention about you on this album. I assume that you've heard this, but I have to ask you because there's a couple artists that he mentions a lot of artists on that album, as we all know. And some of the artists that were mentioned there wore that mention as a badge of honor. Like, M mentioned me, I'm cool with this. Some of them took major offense to this. When you heard that line, what was your perspective? What was your first thought? And knowing where you grew up, knowing who you are, what you do, your influences, that all of that behind, what was your first thought?
I mean, first of all, there's no way to prove exactly whether it was or wasn't.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think Eminem's one of the most talented, clever writers of all time. So I guess there's no way to prove that, and I wouldn't respond to something that I can't prove that didn't happen, or I don't even know if I would ever respond to that, whether it was about me or not. You know what I mean? I've always, in every interview, I've always just talked about how I think Eminem's one of the best writers and rappers of all time. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know how to feel about it exactly.
Sure.
I mean, I stand by what I've always said from the beginning. So.
Okay, great.